All right. Thank you guys for making the time to join me for today's podcast. This is our third podcast here. So aloha to everybody from the YouTube channel. Today we have 3 new people. Thompson was in from last week. Yeah, we have Thompson, we have Onceinluv, we have Whycuz, and we have Sean. If you want to just go around and do a quick intro, that'd be super cool. People get to know like a little bit of what you do, who you are, what's your ties to, you know, Summoners War or anything like that. Feel free to do so. And yeah, we'll start off with Onceinluv, and then we'll just go around. Onceinluv, Thompson, Whycuz, and Sean. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Onceinluv. My name's Tyler. It's nice to see you guys. Been playing for about 3 years. I've been streaming for about 3 years. Been around for a long time, so I know pretty much everyone here.
Hi, I'm Thompson. You guys know me from last week. My Twitch is Thompson28. Okay.
Oh yeah, I will put the links to all your Twitches again into the YouTube video in the descriptions.
Appreciate it.
And go ahead, Whycuz.
My name is Patrick, Whycuzimag from Stay Swag again. Yeah, I'm gonna start streaming probably today after the podcast, so if you have time, check me out.
Oh yeah, you're gonna start today. You got all your stuff in? That's the camera.
Yeah, everything's in. Yeah, the camera's here.
Okay. No, I turned everybody's volumes up. Is this a little bit better, guys? I think the volume, yeah, all the sounds are super low except yours. Okay. I'll turn mine a little bit lower, and I turned them all a little bit louder. So hopefully that that works. Turn them up. Can't hear them. Okay.
Try is that a little bit better now?
Yeah, that should be better for you. I see it spiking for you.
Check.
Testing.
Yeah, Thompson is a little bit low. Let me turn Thompson back up. Well, just
check. Thompson. IslandGrown. Onceinluv. Patrick. SeanB.
Are we good?
There we go.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
I turned the gain up a little bit on my mic.
Okay, perfect. And then go ahead,
Me
Sean.
too. So hi everyone, it's your boy Sean, and what should I say? Oh yeah, I'm an Instagram model, so you can check out my Instagram since everyone is a Twitch streamer here.
And it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and Sean's really tired right now.
Yeah, just plug,
No,
go ahead,
man.
plug it out. All right, well, thank you for joining me and making some time to join us for the podcast here today. We're going to be going over a couple of different topics, and of course, as we go through these topics, we'll be talking about them, but it's kind of open. You know, I kind of want to make these podcasts fun for both the viewers as well as for the people joining me, so we can always, you know, go on tangents on whatever you guys want to discuss and throw on the board and ask each other. Yeah, if it gets a little heated, I mean, just be respectful, but I mean, it can get heated. You know, that's what makes for a more fun podcast anyways. So yeah, we're going to start off here with the first topic that we had set up for today. And the first topic is what 4-star units are best in RTA this coming season? What's meta, what's not? Yeah, and what units are coming into meta as well for 4 stars? Yeah, with the balance patches and changes. Anybody want to throw it on? I guess I did it in order before, but we can just go ahead and throw it into the floor, and whoever wants to go for it, go for it. Yeah.
Water Barb. Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about Water Barb. I think Faint doesn't enjoy when people talk about Water Barb. He's scared it's gonna get nerfed.
Water Barb has to be the most broken unit currently. That's not
Why?
like an LD.
It's extremely demanding on runes. However, any unit that has an ability to buff its own attack bar is automatically going to be a pretty strong unit just with that alone. But the fact is, he gets to steal your attack bar, also steal your buffs. It's not just removing; it's actually stealing, and the cooldown's pretty short. So that's part of the reason why it's broken. Yeah.
It just rotates too fast.
So
3-turn cooldown, skill 3. You gain 35 speed when it's on cooldown, and you can have the potential for 100% attack bar. Skill 2 is 2-turn cooldown, 50% attack bar.
basically 1.5
just
turn
have
cooldown.
every single skill.
Yeah, basically a 1.5 turn cooldown on skill 2. And I guess he kind of does everything. In this current meta, I mean, it's still kind of single target focus. You know what I mean? Single target's still dominating, so he just adds to that list of single target damage dealers in RTA. But
On top of single target damage too, he has branding, and he also, if it's built fast enough, it can go like 4 turns in a row on violent, pretty much. So I mean, any unit being able to go 4 times brings back the the Diana nightmare.
oh yeah, definitely.
But I think one of the weaknesses of moving so often is that it will go out immunity quick if you're not careful and you use him with immunity unit, and suddenly you are naked again.
There's a unit that hits really hard. That's a 4-star single target that doesn't cleanse herself of immunity. It's Icarus. Yeah, she's real good.
Oh yikes!
So you think Icarus is really strong in this RTA season still? I mean, I think a lot of people use. Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I think this season, from what I'm seeing, it's very offensive. Like if you bring like too much defensive units, you're not gonna win. And the offense circles around like a lot of CCs or like just single target nukes, right? So like there's a lot of teams with like just like burst damage, like Sierra Molong or like Molong Bulwark or like Molong Icarus, and those teams are so good. Yep.
Do you think Icarus is more like coming back to meta, or do you think she's always just like been consistent?
I think she's always been so good. It's just like not a lot of people use her, you know?
Yeah, like the only person I've seen using it a lot was Hua. Right, because he was using it a lot, right, to snipe when he did his crazy super fast Icarus with super fast Molong's instant snipe first turn kind of combo with the threat of ragdoll in there as well, right? So...
Yeah, but then this season there's not only Icarus, there's Bulwark too. So it's like they have to make a choice between banning your Icarus, Molong, or Bulwark, you know?
Okay, so going back to the question of what 4-star units are best in RTA, would you say then Triana is getting stronger and is still definitely in meta? Because that Triana is a 100% counter to a lot of those sniping type of comps. So Triana is like a must build nowadays if you want to do RTA.
Before Aegir, before Icarus, before like Chilling, Gemini, any of those 4-star, Triana is number 1 in the 4-star. She's the best.
I think Triana, for me, it's Asia first, Triana second. Ooh. But I agree, Triana's like always top 3.
Yeah, Triana's definitely up there. I mean, it counters so many of those bursty comps that we were just talking about. Because any of those units that do percent damage, you know, it kind of forces you to force the percent damage onto Triana. So, you know, that alone, you're leaving all the other threats up there. So if nothing else, it's giving you an extra turn by having Triana there.
So, I like Aegir as well, and I like Triana as well. The only reason why I put Triana above Aegir is that her body is so sexy, man. Her base speed is like amazing. Her base defense is decent, right? I think it's like almost 700, and then her base HP is decent. That means like with Aegir, like Aegir, if you have better ruins, Aegir could be better, but it's easier to ruin up a Triana.
Yeah, a lot of people fail to put that into perspective when Thompson talks about the body and how they look and stuff. He's basically talking about their base stats. And usually when you're away from like natural 5s, you know, base stats are usually a little rough. And, you know, for example, a very good 4-star would be like Fire Lich, right? Very situational, but in those situations, he's really good. But his base stats are horrendous. So you have to have a lot of rune investment into a Fire Lich to make him usable. However, if you do invest those runes, he's very usable. Just like Aegir. Aegir is really good, but with bad runes, he doesn't have great base stats. So if you are able to rune Aegir really well, he is an extremely, extremely strong unit. And maybe the best 4-star, along with Triana, of course.
So Triana seems to be like kind of like a unit everybody can agree is a very strong unit. It seems kind of balanced to a sense, right? It doesn't need to be any balance adjustments. But how about Aegir? Like you guys are saying Aegir is kind of strong, right? It can be very powerful. It's really strong in this meta. Does it need to be a change, or is there enough responses for Aegir? What do you think, Sean?
One of the things that Four keep mentioning was that Aegir can steal an unexisted attack bar, right? Which means you don't even need to have attack bar for him to gain attack bar, which is quite stupid. When the skill is supposed to steal attack bar, there's nothing to steal. So maybe that's something there that you may want to consider, because he can just keep getting turned without even needing to steal your attack bar.
The thing to remember though, it's only 75% chance. Yeah, it's not
so it's
100.
75% chance to strip. But the attack bar reduction
is 100.
I believe is 100%. Yeah.
So do we need to change if that it steals attack bar, and if there's no attack bar, it cannot gain anything, or do we need to change the rate of stealing then, just like the stripping to 75?
I mean,
I think it shouldn't steal anything.
Well, at the same time, it's resistible too, right? So you know, it depends how you build your monsters when you're going against it as well. So there's always the resist check and accuracy check.
I think touching things like harmful effect rates is probably the most finicky way to like balance a unit. It ends up often leaving units in these awkward positions where you have something like, let's say, Fire Druid, or Fire Druid, where you have an amazing kit, but all his harmful effect rates are like 20 to 30%, so they don't really do anything. right? So if you lower the harmful effect rates of a lot of units, you end up finding that they're not that strong. Like Iris, for example, right? You bring her strip from 100 to 60, and now it's pretty inconsistent, hard to use offensively.
So what's the best way then? What should be the best way to kind of like nerf or kind of change a character? Because these kinds of suggestions that we talk about here, keep in mind, I mean, I'm assuming Comp to us like goes through this or sends somebody to like watch these VODs or this thing that I post up, right? So these suggestions we say can be pretty impactful in them hearing and potentially making changes on how they do things.
In my opinion, Aegir, the way to nerf him would have to be like the same way they did Yun Hong, is just increase the cooldown, maybe. You know, leave his kit strong, but don't let him go 4 turns in a row. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot less impactful. Like, the most impactful part is not really what he does. If you think about it, if he was just a DPS, but he goes 4 turns in a row, that's just a DPS. That's still strong no matter how you look at it, you know? So I think maybe a cooldown increase on the 3rd skill might do it.
Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about Triana, talked a little bit about Agar there. Any other units that you guys want to discuss here that are 4 stars in particular? Maybe things that we don't see as often, right? Because we see Triana, we've been seeing Agar, you know, of course we see Garo, units like that, but anything new? Like people are saying Tetra or any other 4 stars that, you know, are kind of shining here. I saw BD using a lot of Fire Mermaid, so I mean, let's have some discussions on those particular units there.
I've tried using Tetra. I noticed that Tetra is not that good. In most cases, I'd rather just bring a pure cleanser. Like, even like, I'd rather just bring Amelia in most cases, or someone that could just cleanse everything, or Velajul. Tetra is really good against, like, Sekhmet. Tetra is really good against Nephthys. She just cleanses everything. Like, it's like, yeah, really good against Josephine. But other than that, she doesn't really get the job done. I would rather have immunity over Tetra. But there is a Nat 4 in this unit, in this meta, that's pretty good. And like right now, you kind of need like to let burst damage work and to let CC work, because everyone could agree that this meta is really burst damage and CC, right? Mm-hmm. And for all of that to occur, you need a speed lead. Yeah, okay. And like Tableau is really good because he has that speed lead. And you just have to match him with a cleanser, and it's as if like he never got nerfed.
Interesting.
So my opinion with the Tetra thing is that she's very good in specific situations. She's probably best in slot for like 2 situations. One, Gianna with no Sierra or no way to like stop the cooldown or the length of the bomb increase, and Jean. She's really good against Jean, but you have to be careful because the cleanse is not really a true cleanse. It's just a buff. It lowers the length of a debuff or increases it if it's a bomb. It doesn't like cleanse inability effects, so you can't treat it like a Raccoon.
Right, which brings back the argument of Thompsin, where you're better off just bringing like a Raccoon or, you know, some kind of cleanser, because now you're relying on a 1-turn removal versus a guaranteed cleanse.
I guess that's an interesting topic there. I guess because you guys are talking about some of the units, but I think people will probably be comparing Tetra and trying to think if it's going to be viable for them, because they don't have a wide range of units like you're saying, Amelia and stuff to use, right? Maybe we can do a comparison between like Raccoon and Tetra then, you know, kind of the benefits and uses of them.
That's why I kind of disagreed with what Thompson said, only because he used, you know, 2 5-stars as an example, and not everybody has that, you know, to the disposal, you know. But yeah, like I said, there is other, you know, 3- and 4-star options for cleansing, you know, so it's, like I said, Thompson's right. You know, and you know, Onceinluv is right too. I mean, it's a very quirky unit. It works really well against Gian and stuff like that. However, you know, it's just safer to go straight up with the cleanse if you have it. Like Raccoon is honestly better than Tetra.
I think picking her as a last pick is not a bad idea, since you probably have 1 immunity before, like a Fran or Raccoon, assuming you have more budget, you know, and throwing her last in a John. The Reliant comp is gonna be so good because it's so annoying to use John knowing that there's a Tetra going over there and your provoke's gonna go immediately, like when she take a turn.
So Onceinluv named 2 monsters that Tetra is good against. Okay. 1 is Josephine, 2 is Gianna. Well, first of all,
Gianni.
Huh? John and Gianna, right? Once Gianna strips you, she did her job, man. Like, once she strips you, like, it doesn't matter if you cleanse the bomb or do whatever. She kind of did her job already. and Tetra can't really do much about the stun. Yeah, she could make the bomb +1. And 2, against Josephine, most of the time I would rather pick Vertihil over Tetra.
Water Paladin.
Against Jean.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is because from what I heard last week, you said Gianna wasn't that good. Now you're saying that Gianna is it sounds a little bit better now.
I mean, she's
hype it up Gianna a little bit here, huh? She's just that good.
I'm saying like the 2 monsters that you bring Tetra in against, like even the free-to-play Fire Vampire is better than Tetra in like 90% of the cases.
Depends if you need the heal or not, if you're going for sustain late game or if you're going for fast rotate out. I agree, Vert is amazing. Vert is current flavor of the month.
Let's talk about Vert. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people use Vert.
There are a lot of comps where Tetra works extremely.
Oh, sorry, go
ahead. For example, Hell's Archer has been playing on this account that has Chiana Oberon. So he's been running the Chiana Oberon, Ganny Hathor, and if I ban his Oberon, I win every single time if he leaves Tetra.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you don't really have any damage output against even that tiny little bit of healing. But the thing is, like, you cleanse anybody, and you have a shield that doesn't get nerfed over time because the shield is based on the unit's level.
Something that that's not thought about. Yeah, that can actually bring a little bit more viability because it's based on level. So you guys brushed up a little bit on Tetra there, but what about Vert? I've been hearing some things about Vert. So, I mean, Thompsin already vouched for it last week. He's gonna build like 3 Verts of different builds. So how viable is it? What is it good against? Because I'm sure players out there, everybody can make a Vert now. It's a fusion, right? So players want to know how they can use it and potentially, you know, dominate with Vert and RTA.
I think he mentioned Vert against John, which is very popular nowadays because you get out of the provoked state very quickly with Vert. Because Vert don't stun you or stop you from moving. So that's one way where people can use Vert against a very super popular unit like John in RTA, where you can just get out of the state very, very quickly with Vert moving, of course.
What kind of build though? Because you know, there's a couple of different builds people are, you know, speculating for Vert, right? I mean, like triple revenge.
Well,
do you build Bruiser, full tank?
Yeah, some people do the triple revenge thing just to almost have it act like a ragdoll kind of thing. I still think that probably if you have the sets for it, Violent is probably the way to go, because, you know, double the attack bar every time if you get a Violent proc. If you don't have the runes, I guess you could use Swift as like a entire team boost. If you could build a really fast Swift one, it could almost be like an Orion kind of ordeal where it just boosts your whole team to go first. So there's a couple options on how to build Verd.
I go Will double revenge. They thought I'm on Violent Will. When it hit me, they get revenge and they cut.
A little bit of mind games there, I guess. So I guess is you guys build it all in tank, right? Like a speed crit rate HP is probably what consistently is probably
it's
going
really
through.
Soft, like 9k HP base and 500 defense base.
Yeah, it's one of those low base stat monsters, so you have to build it tanky. It's not if we want to or not. Like, it's not going to work the other way.
His scalings aren't also that great. It's 400% and 300%, so he doesn't actually do that much damage.
Even with defense break, it doesn't hit very hard.
With defense break, it could hit hard. With attack buff, it could do okay. But for the most part, like, most of us build high EHP units of like 200k plus, so most of us have at least 1.1k defense. So the Verd doesn't really hit for anything.
Any of you guys use Verd and always forget to do the second move? Because it's
hell yeah.
Yeah, I do it like I forget it like 9 out of 9 times. I'm just
double
so
hit now, right?
All habit, man.
Yeah, double hit now.
I've got to say, because we've been playing E7 a little bit, I actually realized why Verd right now is so strong in the meta. It's because he gives himself attack bar as well. If he didn't give himself attack bar, I don't think he'd be OP.
That's true.
Like, I don't think he'd be flavor of the month. But like the fact that he gains 40% and gives 40% to everyone is crazy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Is it really correct though, Thompson, to use the second skill?
Yeah, it hits
hard. I mean, it does hit harder, but you know, if you give your team an extra bar, it's
they hit
double hit now. Double hit now after last
patch.
Oh,
really?
Change. See, look at even Whycuz forgot. You see, that's a lot of people forgot. It's a clear example, right? We all forget.
Even the animation don't show us too, and it's so confusing.
I didn't forget. I don't use it, so I have no idea.
Oh, he doesn't even use it.
So
yeah, so they changed it to a double hit now on skill 2.
Oh, so that's why Thompson was talking about that day when he was streaming. I got you.
And to note, I think I saw it on your stream, Brian, but Julian now can stun twice, right? He has two
so
chances to
it's
stun
two
with
resistance checks, so it does give him more viability there. It also helps him against like Gado comps, so you know people like Jungle Dog now hate that.
Against Julian, I guess he needs to get nerfed. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead. Fine. How are they gonna nerf him? I mean, he's fine. He's balanced character, more balanced character. I mean, you don't see all the top players running him, man. Yeah, they have him. They don't run him. He's good, but it's not that crazy, man.
He needs like 4 more buffs, right, Brian?
He needs
leader for arena.
Yeah, he needs speed leader.
Yeah.
I'm talking like skill 1 AOE, like you know some kind of debuff. Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. All right, that's so anything else before we wrap up this topic here? Any other units or any last comments on this coming season with 4-star units coming out?
Well, you brought up Plady too, right?
Yeah, the Fire Mermaid. I've been seeing. I don't know if BT's testing it or he's just been using it a lot. Yeah, but I know BT it's early on.
Used all 30 wings pretty much of Plady and Water Monkey. He was using a lot.
Right.
But Plady, I guess it's okay. It has the 3rd skill is a cooldown reset. First skill is the same, mermaid strips first skill, and
hers is 100% strip though. By the way, not like any other mermaid. Hers is 100% before resistance check. That's her awakening now, which is really powerful.
And then the 2nd skill is a little attack bar boost, single target, of course, but it's also a res if you get the good time to get it off. Like I think it was working for him because he would like get the 2-turn Hathor sleep and then res in between there, so he has a chance to get the dead unit to turn in there. Of course, even one turn, if a dead unit you bring him back, he gets that 1 critical turn. It's a big deal. So I don't think it's a bad unit. I don't know how good it is, if you ask my honest opinion, but we had a guildie that used it a lot, and he was a G3 player too. So
Deku?
Yeah, for Deku, he used it pretty much every game, and he was G3 with it. So
what's the exact wording of the 3rd skill? What's the exact wording? What does it do entirely?
So it skill resets you and stuns you, but if you're below 50% HP, it stuns you for 2 turns now.
As in the fish is below 50, right? And then it will stun enemy for 2 turns.
She's below 50%.
Which is like after a Molong nuke and she's low, and then she can stun you 2 turns.
50.
I see.
Now you get below 50 pretty quick with Molong around.
I think we've pretty much covered the main ones. Aegir, Triana, Icarus. We talked a little bit about Tableau. There's just a few more NAF4s that are pretty good. There's Olivia. The Wind Yellowstone agent.
You think that's general use is good? Because all I've seen players do like Copper Bulldozer comps, right? And that's why they use Olivia.
Those are just really rune intensive, but they're really hard to fight if you have good runes.
Exactly, she's mad decent. And there's also another kind of like Olivia. You could bully like lower level people with like Gemini as well. You could just like outspeed them and just win the game. Gemini is pretty mad decent too.
I mean, honestly, if you put it all in a nutshell, like all the monsters you talk about that are strong and overpowered, they all kind of have the same ability where it's somewhat like either boosting attack bar or giving attack speed or attack speed debuff. You know what I mean? Like, So basically RTA, the whole meta is pretty much about speed and turns, So anybody gives turns like Olivia, if she boosts herself, her cooldowns are so short that everything's just constantly up, it feels like when you're fighting it.
To segue off Patrick, there's another NAF4 that's really good. It's Amduat. He gets
this guy names all LD units, man. Like people like watching this, they're like, oh yeah, let me.
Not Amduat.
You're right though. You're right.
Amduat.
He's actually very good. Yeah, I would say Amduat's. I've seen actually a lot of people use
it. I said Olivia, man.
Oh yeah, okay, true.
Nah, Gemini's not free to play. It's long ago, man.
Whoa! You snapped at me right now, Brian. What was that for? Oh my god,
dude! I'm trying to get some flair, man. I want some heat in the podcast, man.
You feel like you're an attack, Thompson?
Yeah, throw a little over there.
I think is actually quite relevant for current meta because we've kind of regressed and gone back to a very double immunity focused comp. And I know Josh mentioned this earlier, but I think Harmonia is definitely worth the mention right now. She really deals well with the low damage comps. If someone's not running a burst or a new comp into you, Harmonia will just destroy them. She brings her own speed scaling damage, and she deals with chip damage unbelievably well.
But yeah,
my issue with Harmonia is that when I bring Harmonia in, if you mistime the burst damage, you just die. You know what I mean? Because like the best is like they bring burst damage, but they could barely kill you. And then you like do the third move, do her 3rd skill, right? Unwanted Harmony. But like sometimes you misjudge their burst damage and then you die. You're like, oh shit, now you lost the game for sure.
Yeah, I think what Onceinluv is saying is like if they don't bring burst damage, then it's like she could sustain forever, you know, with the 2 heals like that. If they bring burst damage, you're 100% right, Thompson. Like you get greedy and you want to, you know, delay one more turn and then you get popped, you know. So you're right in that aspect, but I think Tyler's point was to the point of, you know, if there's no burst damage, it's true. Like it's very hard to get through her healing when there's no big damage.
I want to bring up one more Nat 4,
Go ahead.
but I'm afraid Brian will snap at me.
Yeah,
It's an LD Nat
it's an
4.
LD Nat 4, isn't it?
It's Iris. Like we gotta
Yeah, bring it up,
like.
bring it up.
go ahead and
I'm just
talk about
kidding,
her.
man.
It's
You can bring
still
up anything you
relevant,
want. I'm just kidding, bro. Go ahead.
All right, I want to hear
sorry.
this. I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with Iris.
Yeah, what do you think about Iris? You think she's still relevant or not? I think she's still decent, but no one wants to invest Despair Runes on her, you know?
I think her relevancy increased with Molong's nerf again, but I don't think she's that great anymore. But she's definitely, people are definitely going to use her more now with Molong being a little nerfed up. Or big time nerfed
I think
up.
she can start off with a strip into silence, which is really great. That thing always land because multi-hit, right?
Yeah, always lands. Watch me play RTA. Use Iris 30 matches in a row and landed twice ever.
Yo, accuracy slot 6, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I just run
Accuracy
Ganny
leader,
lead.
man,
I run
what you
Ganny
doing?
lead and I still don't hit it.
Hey, 30% accuracy lead as well, man. You shouldn't be missing those.
Yeah.
I just run Ganny lead and then I have 85 and I still don't hit anything. So Iris is great for current meta because of the the low damage and the buff focus, but her base HP and defense make it a little bit hard to use her effectively because I think now in current meta it's too easy to burst her down, right? If you build a revenge, you get defense break from a Vanessa and a Perna one-shots you. So you're just in this position where Iris on paper is really good, but in practice, she just doesn't work with what's out there.
I totally agree, and I know this isn't subject matters, but I just want to throw this out there. I've been holding this in for a week. I was wrong. Last week I was wrong, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Molong,
Gianna is a god.
Molong is so good. Molong is still Molong.
Molong is
He's
good.
so good. Yeah, I just want to say this out there. I just want to throw it out there. I've been trying Molong. Molong's still good. That's it.
He still does
don't
the
even
same
need skill
thing.
two.
He's the exact purpose of nuking. That's why I tell you he's good. But the question I think we were discussing as well last week was, is he still first pick material? And I don't think he is still first pick material, but he's still very strong in RTA, and you'll still see a lot of people be picking him.
From what I noticed with Molong, though, is now if they don't have any buffs up, like it stuns more, you get a bigger chance to 4-man stun than you used to, it seems like. So as far as the stripping thing goes, I think it's terrible, but you know, I
just leave with him.
when there's no buffs, I mean, it's a pretty good stunning ability, and yeah, I mean, I have, you know, of course I have Yun Hong, so the Molong third skill with Yun Hong is still a pretty big deal, you know.
Right. He still does exactly what Molong does. I think he's in a position where he maybe should have started, I guess you can say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Tian Lang got raped, but yeah, Molong is still.
F in chat.
But all right, going back to the topic here with the 4-star units, pretty good discussions, brought up some pretty interesting units out there, maybe some that you guys could potentially build and use as well in this coming RTA season. We'll go ahead and move on to the second topic that we have here. Topic number 2, the question is in regards to what is your opinion on Comp just releasing more units? What would you like to see? They recently released Druids. How do you think we can improve them? Because from what I see personally, only the Wind one looks okay, like a Reviver, but the other ones are quite lackluster. Just how the Unicorns were released back. So, what do you guys feel about that? How they release, what they should release, and how they could change Druids?
I think the intention with Druid is great. Like the fire one seems like a better Rika if you can make them to be. Or the water one can be a better aerial, but it's just that they make them good, but it's not there yet. It's still inconsistent and they really don't do much at all.
The water one is terrible.
Yeah.
It might be the worst Nat 5, you know, out of all of them. The fire one, its kit looks great, but the activation rate's just too low.
Yeah.
If the activation rates were higher and it's reliable, it's actually reliable. You know, it throws on 3 debuffs. You know, it's pretty strong if they were reliable to drop onto them. But
So
It's
easy
actually-
fix for him then. Easy fix for the fire one. Just activation.
It's-
That's
yeah,
it.
if
No
they,
need
if,
to change
they
anything
increase
about it.
if they increase the percentage in the activation rate, I think it'll be very usable.
Okay.
And the win one, I mean, people use it, but all the win one really does is just delay the inevitable. Like, you don't die as fast. You know what I mean? You're still dead. You just don't die as fast because it makes no impact. Like, it's not because it's there you're gonna lose the Guild War match or the Siege match.
I
It
like
just
the
makes
defense
the
buff though.
match-
I like the defense buff though that he provides.
So this
And
makes
the
me-
defense scaling damage too.
So
Yeah, but
he turns
I feel
it.
like it just delays the inevitable. It's not impactful enough to take up one of the 3 spots inside of a Guild War team. You know.
Okay.
Only his second skill scales with defense, by the way.
yeah,
Oh.
third skill doesn't.
Yeah, I've seen some
It's
people
a
kind of
tough
build
skill,
him and
and his
build him
first
like
skill
a
doesn't
bruiser.
either.
That's why.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked Brian for this question is mainly because I want to know, do you guys think that every Nat 5 family should have at least one good regular element unit? Because in the Druid family, the dark one is really good.
It's
and
the
light
only
is-
one, man. Yeah.
But
Panda.
do you guys think that all families should have at least one good regular element in their family?
Of course, it's more accessible.
I think they all should be usable, every element. You know what I mean? There's no reason why some, because it's different for a lot of people. Like for me, getting a Nat 5, it's hard to get a non-dupe now, but I have so many because I've spent a lot. But for some people that don't spend, it's very hard to get a Nat 5. And imagine your first Nat 5 is Ariel, and then your second one is Abuelo. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna kill yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna commit suicide. Somebody gives you $100 for
I understand we're using the term
Yeah,
usable
nothing.
here, but for us, anything's usable, right? We can use anything. We have the runes to use anything. But what it comes down to, is it good? Is it good? Because if it's usable but it's not good, 99% of the time you're not going to use it, right?
When I use the word
Death is
usable, I mean
usable,
like
but
good.
she's is it one of the top 3 in its position for its job? Because if I think a reviver, I go Eladriel.
So
Or
this is how I
bad.
feel about this whole thing. Like, I don't feel like every Nat 5 class should have one alpha, but like if Comtwist is going to come out with more units, they definitely have to balance all the older units, because like unlike other games, Comtwist, when they release a new unit, like they don't buff the rate of the new unit being pulled. It's like you're summoning like 6,000 mystical scrolls for that one new unit, and like you're pulling like all the older units as well, right? So it's like unless they buff the rates of the newer units being pulled, like they need to like balance the older units, because you're pulling like 50 of the older units before you get one of the new units.
So segueing off that then, kind of like because we, I don't know if you played E7, but a lot of people have been playing E7 and
Wait,
you
what
have-
game is that?
they have an increased rate when the new units
Earth
come out.
7, right? Are you guys talking about Earth 7?
Earth 7, yeah.
No,
Earth,
it's more
Wind,
like
Fire.
entertaining 7.
But anyways, they have increased rate for certain 5 stars. Is that something that you think would be feasible and viable for them to do? I don't think they'll do it, but I want
Not
your
in this
opinions on
game.
that.
I want them to just
I don't
like
think they'll do that, though.
try to if like the new monsters they make are really overpowered, they need to try to balance the older monsters' power level as well as making new monsters. If they don't buff the rates of Nat 5s, like the new Nat 5s being pulled.
I just don't think they should release overpowered units. It just promotes
Yeah.
even more power creeping, right? So
See-
it was kind of interesting when they released druids, because they're pretty terrible for the most part. So it was like, hey, they released something that's just like not that OP and it's not the best in slot. And then they released, okay, well, I posted the Discord in Discord all the units that were released in 2016 with their respective months. When you look at all of those, there was always one in the family that was nuts, right? And then there's the druids, which just don't make sense, right? And I guess the paladins as well, because they took a couple months to get a buff before they were used.
Same with unicorns back in the day, like before all the changes for like Helena and stuff. People didn't use it at all. Helena had the
Leo
big
was still
change.
pretty okay.
Well, I mean, it didn't
by
have
the
the
way,
attack gauge, which was a huge thing for why Helena was good. So, from my opinion on this, Comtios comes out with new units. I don't ever want to deter them for coming out with new units, because I like the units that they're making. Even though they're bad, they're making new units with totally different mechanics, you know what I mean, to throw it out there. And my honest opinion, the people that are making the units, the people doing the balance patches, they got some of the hardest jobs, man. Because there'll always be something wrong, and they'll never be able to fully tell if something buffed or changed is going to have a huge, small, or medium impact once it hits the live servers. As well as, I'm taking into consideration, I'm not sure if these developers are all G3 mindset in thinking of doing these, right? So I gotta give them some props for creating new units and doing these balance patches, but I would like to see them make adjustments a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? Instead of just 3 balance patches a year or like 4, I'm thinking like at least 4 or 5, you know, or every other month, some kind of balance patch to get things tweaked and changed.
Alongside what you're saying, like, you know, the problem is not so much if monsters are good or bad. The problem is like the accessibility to the monsters, you know, like if a monster, they're always gonna get complaints no matter how you look at it, right? If a monster is bad, you summon it, oh, I got a shitty monster, you know? If a monster is good, it's like, oh, Thompson pulled another one, where's mine? You know what I'm saying? So there's always gonna be that issue. Like if you're happy when you have it, you're mad when you don't, you know? Like I'll just use Yunhong as an example. Yeah, it's a very good unit, you know, it's a very powerful unit, but it's like, you know, everybody that has it, we understand what the limitations are because there are limitations. It is overpowered, but there are limitations. But for everybody that doesn't have it, there's no limitations. You know, like people that don't have it, there's no limitations. It's completely unstoppable. There's nothing you could do. It's way too overpowered. You have to ban it. You know, it's not the case. Like I said, you know, I fight Yunhong. Even before the nerf, I have never banned Yunhong, like not a single time, because I use it. I see what people kill me with. I could use that back, you know, to my advantage versus Yunhong. But in general, like I said, they're always going to get griped no matter what. If the unit's good, bad. It's just the biggest problem, I think, is still the accessibility to the units, you know? There's, like I said, if you're free to play, there's a good chance that after 3 years, you might not even have a single Nat 5 right now. I still see people like in your chat and other chats that complain like, oh, I don't have a Nat 5. I haven't got an LD Lightning I've been playing in 4 years, you know? Like not even a Nat 4 LD, not even a Holy Hero LD from the scrolls, you know what I mean? So accessibility is a big problem in this game, and that's what the major complaints come from. It's not so much about overpowered monsters, underpowered monsters. It's more about, can I get it, can I have it, and what happens when I don't have it. It's, you know, it's a problem, you know?
I see. So maybe more fix to that one might be maybe more 3 and 4 star units that are changed that can help aid with the dealing with certain Nat 5s and units that you don't have.
Well, if you bring that topic up, you're not only talking about 3s and 4s that need to be added. If you just buff the base stats of all 3s and 4s, then you have another.
They can't really do that easily, right? There's just certain scaling. 3s supposed to have a 3s type of stats. 4s have a 4s type of stats. 5s has a 5s type of stats. But I'd like to see them make some niche 4s and 3s to help everybody be able to deal with almost anything, right? They can
you want the
make
balancing
units
like E7.
Right.
That's what you want.
But
kind
the
of,
problem with even the problem with that is, though, like we talked about in the beginning of this conversation, is that if you do that, the big thing is like base stats do make a big deal. Like if you make somebody with the same exact kit as Yunhong, you know, but a 6,000 base HP and 200 base defense, it's not going to be usable. I don't care what the monster does, because it's going to get one shot by anything. So I think the base stats is still where it matters most, not so much like skill sets and, you know, the kits. And
but then when you think about the major population, it's like Fighter 3, then they're gonna fight Fighter 3 Molongs or whatever Perna, and it's not gonna one-shot a lower Nat 3 or Nat 4 anyway. So I think giving out, you know, Nat 3 and Nat 4 that are usable still makes sense, because they're gonna fight people in their own rank, and they're not gonna get one shot with that, you know, weak-ass Perna, for example.
I guess to a certain extent it's relative to your rank and to your level. So if like there's units that are good that are 3s and 4s that deal with better 5s, having low base stats shouldn't be as big of an issue for top players if they have the rune quality for it, which they do, right? To gear up the units to deal with certain, like let's say like Gianna or whatever units are, you know, hard, not to pick on any certain LD Nat 5, but Gianna, right? Like units that can deal with that are 3 and 4 stars, you'll be able to rune it up and bring it in for those situations, right?
So, which now that, do you guys think the Druid are the worst class in the game? Who do you think is the best class in the game? Who do you think is the worst class in the game?
Families, yeah, Oracles are very good.
Oracles by far.
I think there's a class better than Oracles, but yeah.
Who's that? What is that?
What do you think? What do you think it is? Ponies?
Like by far. But I'm not talking about Light and Dark though. So yeah.
Oh, the ponies then, right? Ponies are very strong.
Just
yeah, for sure. Like we're not talking about Light and Dark.
Probably ponies.
So ponies and oracles are up there. I mean, well, ponies more so. But what are the weakest then? What is the weakest family then? We're saying druids. Is it?
Druids.
It is, huh?
I mean, beast monks are pretty bad. I hope like they give them some kind of decent leader skill. You know, the dungeon is like so useless. If they have like a guild war leader skill, it would be so good.
Yeah, one of the things a lot of people say is, oh, this unit's not viable. This unit's is not viable. This family's not viable. But I feel like in any game, they try to balance out all the units that they create, right? Not every single 5-star family they're going to create is going to be just for RTA, right? It's a mix of PvE, Guild Wars.
That's what I'm saying.
And
Like
RTA.
I feel like the Beast Monks would be really good if they all have like Guild War leads, right?
I guess that's true. Yeah, instead of dungeon leads. Yeah, that's actually true because they're not really used in dungeons. That's actually a pretty good suggestion there, to give some leads to them. That actually brings a lot of viability into those Beast Monks.
Yeah, and the Druids could get some leader skills as well.
What do they currently have?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They have the extra skill
last
set,
skill
so
is
they
the
can weaken
transformation.
into their skill set.
Oh yeah, but ponies don't have a leader skill either. Yeah, so I think they're trying to keep that trend of anything that transforms doesn't have leader skills yet right now.
Yeah, because feel another slot for passive for transform or something like that.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I think if we're talking regular element, I think the Dragon Knights are kind of weak.
They're gonna buff the
It's
Dragon
hard to
Knight.
say because
so-
Leo has such a unique good passive, but I think the Chow and Leica are extremely weak right now.
I think they're
I
just
also
too
feel
simple.
like Leo is pretty decent. Yeah.
He's decent because he's a really good pick for his passive, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
Leica's a little weak, you know. I mean, Chow's always been like just Chow, you know. It's like
Leica's
it
pretty
might
weak.
be
not
it
a
might
little
be
weak.
usable, but it's not, you know. It's not exactly. So
So do you guys know, ever since IslandGrown's last stream, people has been bringing Leica to me, and like it's people like when they match up against me in RTA, they purposely bring Leica to play against me.
Is it because
Gotta prove a point here.
Is it
Oh,
because
man.
you just said he's like the worst unit or something, so everyone just
Yeah,
wants
I
to
know.
Yeah,
I
just
want
beat you with it.
wrong. Yeah. But they're just proving me right, man. Let's just deal with
Oh,
it.
man.
Okay, let's make this clear. It's not that I think Leica sucks, is that I didn't like how they buffed Leica before a tournament, and then they nerfed Leica after the tournament, making him unusable.
Understood.
That's how I
understood.
feel about Leica.
Because
Yeah, there
of
you
the
go.
time and the resources people invested into it. You don't think that was
Yeah,
fair
of
at
course,
that
if he
moment?
has like, you know, if he's like 250 speed, 30,000 HP, 2,000 attack, yeah, he's good. But you know, like,
I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Leica is really good at two things. He's an amazing Guild Wars offense monster, and he's
Oh.
probably the best
Good.
and safest Giants unit on Vampire.
I feel like Lucian is the best giant.
No,
unit.
I said
No, for
safest,
sa-
right? I
no,
mean,
safest though.
Safest,
Yeah,
yeah,
safest
safest.
is Leica.
Yeah.
I
Leica
don't
basically
know about
never
that.
dies in Giants.
Yeah, I mean, like, in Siege, there's a lot of like a series of Molong, you know, Perna, Ritesh defenses, and you just bring in like Leica, and he takes care of business.
Yeah. So talking about that, how you were a little bit upset that they changed Leica before the tournament. That kind of had me have an idea there. Do you think they should somehow release another resource? It can be a super rare resource that will allow you to use it on a unit and obtain the Devilmons back. Because like, let's say you wanted to build a unit and you wanted to try it and it didn't turn out the way you wanted, and it can be a rare resource that you pop it and you get your Devilmons back. I think that'd be something of interest. to
I
some
don't
extent.
think they could do
Balance
that.
patch, we should be given one for free.
I don't think they could do that unless it's like for a specific class, because like people could just cheat.
What do you mean? Say how do you say?
Like, I'll just make a Fire Panda, fuse a bunch of Fire Pandas, and then put the refund onto Fire Pandas, get the Devilmons, and
Well,
then
but
get
the
a Fire
refund would
Panda.
give you Fire Pandas back.
Huh?
You get whatever you use. I
Yeah,
think
you
is
get
the-
whatever you use. That's probably what would be the best. That
Well,
would
yeah,
work.
I know. I'll fuse like, you know, 12 Fire Pandas, put it together, and then get the, you know.
You use the
No,
thing,
no,
and it's
but-
gonna give
but
you
if
12
use the
Fire
refund,
Pandas back.
You get your 12 Fire Pandas back.
You don't get Devilmons. You get whatever you used. So like if a person
Oh,
fed a nat
Could they keep
5.
track of that? You know, that's kind of.
Oh yeah, so if it's not in the
I would love
system
a Devilmon
data,
refund, but yeah.
if it's not okay,
Like, give
that's
me
actually too
Give me
complicated.
my Rakan and Leica Devilmons back, I'll be happy.
No, that gets a little confusing because if it's not in their data pool, right? Like let's say you fed a child to a Leica, how can you cheat and get a Devilmon back instead of your Chow back? Or if you wanted your Chow back, right? That might be a little too
Yeah.
complicated, so never mind. The idea's good, but
If that
realistically,
recall thing were to happen, I think it has to keep the unit at 6-star. So you can't get your like evolution fodders back. You can't get your
yeah, it's kind of complicated.
your fusion
EXP.
essence back. I think the only thing you get back is whatever you fed for skill ups, whether that's units or Devilmon. If they were to do that, it would have to be once per balance pass, and it would have to be free.
I disagree. I feel like they only need to make that for 3 units: Tianliang and Leica, and then what's
Tianliang's
another
still
unit?
fine, though.
Probably Rakan. I don't know. Rookon's decent, but yeah.
Yeah, but you see, any conversation is going to be biased. You know what I'm saying? Because if you didn't put your Devilmons in Leica, or if you didn't have a Leica back then, this wouldn't even be a topic. You know?
Everyone on the stream and everyone that's been in a previous.
I agree. I'm guilty too. I'm saying, but if we weren't guilty, this wouldn't be a topic. Is my point? You know?
I think everyone wants to build new stuff at some point anyway. So getting Devilmon pack will let you do new stuff.
Let's agree that Devilmon needs to be a little bit more accessible. How about Devilmon pieces,
absolutely.
man? Like let's get Devilmon pieces or something where you can actively play.
If you remember, Brian, my comment in Korea about Devilmon pieces was you should be able to trade in dupe Nat 5s for Devilmon pieces.
Something like that. But just create the resource of Devilmon pieces. How they give it to us, how they do it, can be totally different. Ancient coins, just events.
Most balanced.
Yeah, I think that'd be something reasonable because it seems a rare resource that a lot of people want. Even endgame players are wanting it, right? Everybody wants Devilmon still.
Yeah, make it so we can craft and farm the fire beast, water beast thingy, like reappraisal, you know.
So what I'm trying to say,
Devilmon dungeons, yeah.
As what Onceinluv said is like, if you're gonna nerf a unit, probably give us that like Devilmon refund coupon back, you know. That's
or
like
even like half or something, just something.
Honestly,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter that much for the guys that are like pay to play anyway. So I just think making Devilmons more accessible to even buy is a big deal already. I don't care if they don't refund my Leica Devilmons, you know, like
our conversation doesn't really go for us, right? We're the outlier.
Right.
We spend a lot of money. So
I'm saying, but that's that point. But then it also allows the new players to catch up if they want to spend right now, right? Because right now, if you want to be, you can catch up to me in money. But you're not going to catch up to me in Devilmons, right?
I love how he's discussing this while there's whales floating behind him in the back.
You know, I mean, like I said,
this conversation comes up all the time. Can you whale enough to catch up to a G3? Currently in the game, you could whale a year hard, really hard. You could spend like $250,000 and you could probably catch up because you just summon Nat 5s as Devilmons.
If I spend 5
all
times
the impacts, all the reaps, you don't even need to do R5 anymore. You just buy memorial gems.
Yeah, but you
need to use them on your god runes.
Right, but you're talking about exactly what I do right now anyway. But anyway, more importantly, if I did 5 times what I've done in the past, including what I do now, I still wouldn't catch up to me now. There's no way. It's impossible. There's just not, like you say Devilmons, think about it. All the Devilmon packs I've accumulated in all these years, right? You'd have to summon like 27 of every elemental Nat 5 to Devilmon 2 of them.
If somebody wanted to be top,
there's also HOH too.
Right. If somebody wanted to be top though, right? I mean, they would probably allocate those Devilmons accordingly to those specific units. You've accumulated a lot of Devilmons and you purchase a lot, but you've put Devilmons into units that are not totally feasible to RTA, right? So if somebody's RTA oriented, they're not going to put it into like a Ritesh, right? They're not going to max the Ritesh or Chandra or the Kumar, which you probably have all max, correct? So Devilmon, you don't need that many Devilmons technically for the pool of usual RTA units that you might be using. So there is that. Okay.
Can I mention something?
Go ahead.
Because I see your chat going on about it.
Go ahead.
People always complain that death of this game will come from there's no such thing as a catch-up mechanic. The game's not designed to get you to the top 1%. You know, you're not going to be G3. You're not going to be G2. You might be G2. You can very obtainably get G1 if you start now. You can. It'll take quite a while. It'll take a lot of dedication and a good amount of luck, but it's doable, right? But you have to understand that there's literally no way you will ever catch up to the top 1% because that 1% is such a strong outlier.
And is that a big deal? Is I guess maybe something?
I don't think it is because
I don't think it's a big deal.
I mean, if that's a big deal, it's a personal thing, right?
Right. Right.
I can play and spend a tons of money and be forever down there because I just want to collect units and look at them.
Yeah.
Or even just play and have friends and enjoy yourself, enjoy your community, right? Be part of a guild, be part of a stream community. There's so many different things you could do with the game that I don't think that if that is the one thing in the game that matters the most to you, maybe the game's not for you. But I think for the majority of people, that's not the case.
I totally agree with that. Definitely. That's actually a really good topic. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, yeah. So let's move on to the next topic that we have here. Topic number 3. Topic number 3. New RTA season has begun for a few days now. Do you feel any difference yet in the RTA so far from the wings that you've been doing? I know it's a little bit too early, but have you seen anything or felt any differences yet in the RTA? Yeah, and are you interested in seeing and using any units in this coming RTA season?
I'm really
an event that make people do their placement.
I have not played a single game yet.
Oh gosh.
This is when you can dominate, man. This is when you can be on the top of the top
Oh,
easily,
no,
bro.
This is where you're wrong. This is where you're wrong.
What?
This is
No
where,
way,
this
dude.
Is where, this is where small potatoes like me let all the other guys get super high, so I don't have to see them for a while.
You're not small potato, bro. You're not small
All right,
potato.
let's open this up. The first thing that I've noticed is I see a lot of Shina, Bastet, Tiana Cleaves with generally a Zyros Lucian last 2 picks, unless they have Sierra or an Oberon. I'm seeing a lot of Shina, Bastet, Tiana. And even in Special League, I was seeing a ton of it. And I don't think that's because, you know, they got changed or anything. I think that's maybe because of the shift in meta. What do you guys think?
My theory on Cleave is always that's the best option for weaker players. Because they happen to outspeed you, they could beat a better player. The second best option for weaker players is quirky units like Diana. Like Diana can turn the game around. Like you could be far worse ruined than somebody, and if Diana has one of those 7-turn sprees, you actually win the game. You know, so I feel like if you queue into a game and you know you're the weaker player, and you're weaker rune wise, whatever it is, you have to either cleave or use one of those quirky units to give yourself a chance to win. Because you're not going to out tank them, you're not going to out bruise them, but you have a chance to outspeed and cleave them, or a chance to out proc them, things like that.
I agree. I think cleaving is very good. When people, ask to do RTAs or ask about RTAs, I tell them a lot of times, depending on your rank, I mean, if you're not going to be like Guardian or anything like that, you should just cleave, because it's one of the easiest and simplest ways to do RTA. It's going to be really fast for you. Either you win fast, you lose fast, and you're going to be ranked in accordance to, your rune quality to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, like I have the slowest runes in the universe, so otherwise I would cleave too, because I think that's the best solution early on. Because
slow
like
runes
said,
respective to your rank, Mr.
Like
Small Potato.
Oh, I have the slowest runes in your chat right now. But anyway, more importantly, yeah, I think that cleaving's the best way to do it. You win, it takes 30 seconds. If you lose, it takes 30 seconds. Because the way I do wings, if I do all 30 wings, 4 hours is gone, guaranteed. Oof. Win or lose, 4 hours is gone. So
I think
I would cleave if I had a chance.
Unlike you guys, I don't think cleaving's the way to go, man. As people's rune qualities are getting better and better, it's getting harder and harder to cleave. And there are just so many monsters that's so cancer to cleave teams, It's like there's so many monsters that just counter, like you can't cleave them. Like it could 1v5 or 1v4. I do feel like the new meta,
like Light Lich.
Oh, Light Lich is pretty decent. Like when you bring it against a cleaver team, I mean, like you get to ban a monster too, so you get to control the cleave team. But I do hope that the lightning emperor, the wind one, could see emergence in this season's RTA.
Yeah, I mean, he's considered to me like
Thompsin,
the wind
because
Perna.
Thompsin pulled one, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
I think he's an awesome unit.
Yeah,
I think he's great. Yeah,
all right, let's talk about him. Let's talk where he's great and how's his viability coming. I think of him as a win Perna, but that's all I really know.
He's good with Perna, good with Vanessa, and that's not for me. Like I have a really shitty one. I got this from DGP. Yeah, DGP. But
DGP.
He's been running it with the Water Desert Queen. Yeah, and a few other monsters.
Bastet is like the best friend of Odin. So good.
Yeah, they're best friends. But
you
like
get buffs and you get the attack buff out of it.
But good units need a best friend. Like Artemil needs Amelia, Sierra needs Gianna. Like the best friends are always always good in RTA.
What about you, Sean? I know you've been doing some wings as well. No, have you done wings since the new season?
I fought a lot of Odin Perna, and I think Odin come into the play just make it perfect for Vanessa Bastet Perna comp, because last time you need to fill another slot with another damage dealer that is subpar compared to Perna damage output, be it Chow or be it Laika or be it whatever. Now you have this guy who is like Perna but ignore defense, which is perfect
and
to
wind,
put it
right?
there.
Yeah,
and another element too. So it's like just complete that first turn aggressive team that hurts. Really hurts.
There's a lot of units that do damage that don't require the setup that Odin needs, though. Odin requires your other 2 slots to have like at least one other slot in your team to be a setup just for Odin. Like the purpose of that monster is just for Odin. So it's like there's other damage dealers that you could pick without having to waste a slot on. I'm not gonna say Bastet's a wasted slot, but you know what I mean. Like you have to have another setup. If they ban your setup, your Odin's literally,
Can't you double
like a Retesh auto attack?
Can't you like double shield Will and Odin to kind of help set up? Does he gain from kills or does he gain from buffs?
He gains from kill, which is good
both.
for him.
Both, right?
No, he gains from skill and the team buff. That's it.
Self-
If you kill, you get three stacks as well.
Right,
Yeah.
and then it's self buffs like team.
So I mean, because
self-buff.
he doesn't have any, end build. I guess Rage would be nice to do damage, but he doesn't need to be on Violent. He doesn't need to be on Despair. Maybe Vampire. So I mean, he has flexibility to be double
Current
shield
meta
Will.
Violent is probably the best.
And one of the best.
Really,
unit
Odin
for
on
him to be
Violent.
Fran,
Odin on
too.
Violent.
100% strip for skill.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
it's
Current,
because
I mean,
yeah,
current meta is so
exactly.
easily focused.
Yep, first skill
And it
strip is
counters
the big deal.
better because Odin builds stacks.
Maybe because I'm
I think
slow
your
AF
best
that I always
build
think double
is
shield Will.
violent, and same with Bulwark. I think your best build on Bulwark is also violent.
Really?
The Lightning
Extra
Emperor,
turns are just so valuable.
they have the best first move in game right now. That's true, but they never violent proc, man. Like I had them on
Anecdotal.
violent, they never violent proc. I'm telling you, man.
I'm telling you right now.
Don't believe
okay?
me, but okay.
The same thing that happened with Mulong. He was first released. A lot of people didn't have him. He wasn't considered very good. I think Lightning Emperors are kind of in that position where it can be the exact same thing. As more players are getting them, more players are using them, you're going to see it a lot more often, and you probably will experience maybe a violent project more. But yeah, you'll be potentially seeing it more now, considering how viable they are.
Yeah, so back to the original topic, I think obvious flavor of the month, Ager, OP. Bird is super popular now. I've been seeing less Jean, but people still want to pick the Bird because it's really good.
Jean is still really good.
Yes,
So
she
people are
is.
just lazy to change her back in the rightful ruins.
Give her will.
Give her will, yes. Yeah, and if she's on will, she doesn't need as much accuracy as she used to. She could have more, resistance. She could have more accuracy versus resistance if she's on will, in my opinion. Yeah.
So this is slightly off topic. Can
for
we
it.
talk about a specific team comp that I think is ridiculous?
All right, we'll actually take this topic off number 3 here, and we'll kind of throw it onto the board a little bit here for you guys, and whatever you guys want to bring up and discuss.
Can we
Anything.
talk about Archer's Cleave comp?
About what?
Archer's Cleave comp. Okay, go ahead.
Cleave comp. I think that is the most broken comp in the game right now.
What's that?
He uses Shina, Martina, Sierra, Gianna, and Bastet. So he's got double speed lead. He's got double strip, AoE defense break, and the bomb for ignore defense. And it's got 4 elements if you count the Bastet.
How to counter?
Yeah, that's pretty broken, huh? Outspeed is one option, but you can't.
First of all, you can outspeed it.
Okay,
And
so
there are
if you cannot outspeed, what's a counter? Because that would be a more feasible.
I think it's just hard to recognize, like.
Like when you stand
if
in and take the
if
hit,
you
it's gonna
are
be
expected to
tough.
pick it, right? But if you see a random person who you don't know, like first pick the Bastet, you generally don't expect them to last pick Shina Martina because Martina's not common. I think the easiest part with the cleave teams is recognizing they're cleaving you early, right? But like, how do you? I find that team specifically is the only one that I really, really struggle with when it comes to cleave. All the other cleaves are not as strong.
Like,
what
is it
do you think I
possible
have
to
to
take
bring
the
in?
hit on?
Because if
How
you
about
go,
variant Molong Jamayer? Icarus
Man.
comp.
Can that
uh,
outspeed
Yan Hong in
Yasha?
there too.
Yeah, without Young.
He doesn't.
Young,
he doesn't.
yeah.
He doesn't use Yin Hong in the comp that much. I don't know. The number one answer obviously is to outspeed, which obviously I can't, so I never really
See?
think of that as an option.
It's hard.
It's
People
another
have the option
factor.
of outspeeding.
Another factor that's hard that you don't think about is, every unit that he's using in that team is not a common unit. Let's say you didn't know Archer's running there, right? It's not going to be a common unit that you're going to have and take away in first pick either, right? I mean, do you first pick Bastet or Tiana or Sierra, unless you're making a bud?
maybe it's really Sierra is the one that might get taken away. Otherwise,
Unless you're making a bud, man. I don't ever see Sierra first pick, man. If you go take Sierra first pick, you have Sierra first pick anytime,
if
man.
they take your Sierra though, you have Samath as an option still. So Shina Samath still works equally well. You get the AoE defense break from Shina, so you ban that. You have Martina, which single target damage, still has defense break strip, and gives herself the buff. She's generally quite fast, and you have 2 speed lead options with a Bastet for attack buff. And then the Gianna's there, so you can't really pick a non-will team and then ban the Shina and hope that's enough? Or you pick a Will team and you ban the Gianna and hope it's enough, but the Martina still exists?
My answer would be, if you can't outspeed it, to do the same thing you would do against any Gianna, is to have a no will cleanser. A no will
Swift
AoE
Velajuel,
cleanser.
that's all the way, man. Swift Velajuel.
Something like Swift Velajuel or even Annabelle, things like that, and at least cleanse your team from being stunned, and you have a chance to contest. Because if you buff, you're just giving him buffs. So buffers is not really the answer. Because obviously Martina and Shayna just strip everything. So
the success of all those Cleave teams, you have to understand, is that Jameyer, Tableau, all right, and then for Archer is Shayna and Sierra, right? So like the meta is very speedly, and you could just that's why Vanessa's so good right now, right? Vanessa could be first pick most of the time. Like their comp at when you're playing against those comps, you end up just like fighting over a bunch of speed leads over and over. Who picks the speed lead? Who picks the Tianas? Who picks the Vanessas? And then you go from there. It's not as hard. It's not as complicated as you think it is, to be honest.
Yo, what if I just picked Samath into that comp that he has, and I just geared my Samath as heavy damage as possible? Do you think if he killed the Samath, it would come back and wreck his whole team? Because obviously he's ruined on speed. Like Shayna and Martina would just die from that revenge when he comes back.
He got a bunch of wins.
Samath doesn't even need to come back and kill his whole team. Samath just needs to be there for the speed lead. That's what I'm trying to say.
That as well. But
double
like
speed lead, you bring double speed lead along with a fast monster. It's just like, hey, let it be. Let's see who's faster.
But I would just ruin it as a direct counter to whatever squishy Cleave. Like I just gear him so fast. I don't care about speed. I don't care about nothing. Just full damage on him.
And
doesn't need to be a spare.
The way to counter Archer's comp is to bring monsters with no will on and ban his Shina. Yeah, and like it's just like you just have to. It's just up to you to like see like what monsters you have that don't have will. That's like pretty decent,
Okay.
But that leave him with 2 bombs, right? Sierra, Gianna.
Yeah, but you have tons of like Tiana. I don't feel like Tiana should be on will. I feel like Tiana should be on Nemesis. So like you bring Tiana, some monsters don't need will, right?
The problem with banning Shayna there is that you're still leaving Bastet with 2 bombers, and you're guaranteed losing a unit for sure.
Well, that's why you have Triana, right?
Well, okay, but if the Triana is the unit killed, then you're still down a monster, right?
Right.
So
right.
It comes down to if you have the ability and the runes to, if you can't outspeed it, you have to outsustain it, because it is still in a sense like a 1-turn like burst kind of comp. It's still a Cleave comp. So it's like if you could survive a Cleave comp, you could usually come back from it, because like you said, they're all ruined so fast that they're lacking survival, and the rune damage, of course, somewhat. So they're lacking somewhat survivability.
Okay. All right. That was an interesting topic. I guess we're gonna open it up to whatever other topics you guys want to talk about, but I'm gonna open it up to the 4th topic we have here, which is not really a topic. We're gonna kind of open it up to the chat, and we'll see anything of interest that they say. Yeah, we can take some things from there, from the chat. We can kind of discuss whatever topics you see that are interesting, that you have in mind, or from what you read in the chat and had in mind. I think some people are talking about Tian Lang, but I think we discussed that actually on the first podcast. So you want to recheck that podcast on our full discussion on Molong and Tian Lang, you're free to go back to check on that one. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, this would be the time. You can feel free to ask them here, and then any of us can pull it in to the podcast and discuss. Here's a link to the other podcasts as
Full
well.
HP Dark Inferno. Oh man, I'm gonna build that for Archer. I'm gonna do it today. It's gonna happen.
Dark Inferno?
Yeah. He's gonna kill it. It's gonna one-shot whatever unit hit me.
A Dark Golem to reflect damage, how your Lucian die all the time.
Build a 300 speed Camules to go first.
4-star Devil Months. We have discussed about 4-star Devil Months. I think it's a great idea and something I've been pushing for over a year with them. So hopefully we see those in the future. Shihao, I believe we talked about in that last podcast as well, about the viability of Shihao. PvE be easier? Is it in a good spot? I think PvE content's in a great spot. I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed for PvE content, especially with the introductions of like twins and other units and all the different kinds of comps that you can build now for literally every PvE content. There's no issue with PvE content at all.
Thoughts on buffs versus nerfs and what buffs should be implemented to make the game more balanced? I am a firm believer that The PvE content in the game is well balanced, so we should just balance towards PvP. Whether that's Guild Wars or RTA, maybe even Arena, I don't think we really need to balance towards PvE anymore. Especially since like all the early game stuff, like pretty much all content is feasible farmable.
Hey, that's a good one there. Should we make higher stages of Giants, Necro, and what you call it, Dragons? I think that's a thing I've seen. Epic 7 is going to be releasing, as well as Dungeon Hunter Champions in the past has already released that. Is that something we want to see? Higher level tier dungeons for easier drop rates? Again, going to be able to balance out to let players who are, let's say, free to play trying to catch up have the ability to do harder dungeons and get rewarded with the easier ability to get runes.
Would we be introducing any runes past 6-star or just
No, just higher drop rates, of course.
Higher drop rates could be okay. I think if you introduce something like a 7-star, you basically make everything else obsolete and you do what Kingsray did and you kill the player base.
Yeah, I would think like a stage 11 or something like that. Stage 11 or 12 for the various dungeons for higher drop rates. Like maybe no blues, all purples. Yeah, I could still be 5 and 6 stars. Trial of Ascension Hell mode. That's definitely something that we've discussed in the past. Yeah, but then again, if they release something like that, how difficult do they make Trial of Ascension Hell mode? And how many players in the game can benefit from that kind of release? If you've noticed in the past couple of years, they've been releasing a lot of content, whether it be stuff you guys joke around like achievements or, you know, rewards that you get. It really helped. They're trying to really make content that'll help a lot of the player base, which is more of the early and mid-game players progress through the game. So I don't know about
I think maybe make TOA hard a little bit more rewarding, because having the same rewards for different difficulty is just so funny to me.
Right.
For the entire time, it's just so funny.
Would you guys be more interested?
Exactly the same.
Would you guys be more interested if there was such thing as a top 100 reward for doing TOA and TOA hard?
Nah, the hacker's gonna get the top 10 for sure.
You
always
Yeah,
see
but they get
hacker
banned.
on
They
top.
get banned, obviously, right? But they get
No,
banned
but they
right
get the
away.
rewards from you already. Then they get
No,
banned.
they would release the rewards like a week later or something. They would have
Oh,
to do it that
like
way.
after calculations, like Arena. Ah, yeah, something like that. Like
But
after a
I
week.
think,
then
I think if you're gonna do rewards for top 100, they have to only be cosmetic, right? For like something like TOA and TOA hard.
But it has to be something that endgame players will care about, or even mid-game players.
Well, you can't say that has to be cosmetic, because then, what, like, for example, weekly arena, people fight to try and get legend for that, because it's not nothing to do with cosmetic. It's completely for the, you know, the 4-star monster.
Ask for more units with Oblivion. Oh,
Like,
we've been asking.
There's no control over like there's way less control over the competition in something like PvE content versus PvP, right? Like you actually have to fight people, whether it's their AI or not. You still have to fight people versus you're just like, you could get RNG'd really badly by Guillaume, right? Guillaume could invincibility for like 8 turns. What do? You just have to like endure wasting 30 seconds. You might lose because of it.
I would argue that that statement, Nate made the right. Once again, you're talking about the 1% that can rush TOA hard and TOA normal. I don't think you need to be very endgame to rush TOA hard and TOA normal currently. Yeah.
At least TOA normal.
I mean, even
it's
TOA
pretty-
normal,
it's pretty
you
easy.
can. It's
I
pretty
think
feasible.
TOA normal is really easy to rush.
Even
I have
TOA
a
hard,
friend-
not as many people do it, so it's a lot more feasible to complete it and be top 100. Very, very, very feasible. Yeah.
I think the people that seriously rush TOA hard on global servers, there's maybe like 40 people that do it very serious, who will rush for the under like 2-hour mark. And everyone else usually fizzles in around 5 to 6 hours.
Someone
Time
said about
zones.
more co-op content like Raid, but for PvE.
I want to see something manual, something that you have to go in and spend the time to get rewarded for it. I don't want to see any more autoplay. I want to actually see something manual. That's
Co-op
personally me
is
personally,
so
but
hard that you have to manual, or you have to manual.
it's just something that forces gameplay. Yeah, if you want this, you got to spend the time. This is where time comes in instead of, you know, money, right? Time invested to receive this particular reward that can help benefit your account.
Co-op
Make
content
deals more make
It'll
sense.
probably be the next step.
What's that?
I really wanted Rift dungeons to be like R5 when they first came out, but they weren't. So I was kind of sad. I thought it was gonna be like if you wanted to farm the fire beast, you had to
Oh
like,
yeah,
friend and then do like R5 with that. Didn't happen.
As far
I'm
as
kind of cool with it
cooperative,
right now, but that'll be pretty cool too. I know what you're talking about.
as far as cooperative play goes, I'm still a big fan of like Team RTA, Guild RTA, things like that. You know,
Oh yeah, because of the
I think
because of the
really
guild
fun.
RTAs you guys did, right?
right? It doesn't really have to be a guild thing. It could be like, you know, IslandGrown's on my friends list, for example, and you know, Once in Love's on my friends list. We could just play together will queue into 3 people that queue together too, you know? And it'd
So-
have to be like limited on monsters, you know, like you can't reuse monsters. Same concept. But
So
even just
recreational then, like Goodwill contest, but a Goodwill mode that allows you to do whatchamacallit, like the guild one, right? Where you can't reuse units.
You could do a Goodwill one where it's like that, but you know, Guild Wars, you know, rules as a Goodwill, or you could even do a competitive one, but that one would be like you have to team up with a guild. You know what I'm saying? It has to be your guild as a team. You can't team with friends and stuff. You know, I can't, you know, make it a bud from malicious and stuff like that on my team. I'd have to use, you know, like Thompsin and Archer because we're in the same guild, for example.
Have to use Thompson.
Yeah,
I'm so quiet this stream
pretty big
because like
sacrifice.
I pretty much agree with everything Onceinluv, Patrick, and Sean says, and even you, Brian. It's just like this has been a pretty agreeing stream for me. Yeah.
All right, throw some controversial things, man. I want
There
these
is it. I mean,
podcasts
like,
to
I
be
really
heated.
agree with everything
Question for you
Onceinluv
guys.
says,
Yeah, I
or
want us to
Patrick,
come in
you know?
and, you know, we all work in the same space, right? Everybody makes content, everybody streams,
yep.
we're all friends. But I want these to get kind of heated, you know what I mean? And, you know,
I mean,
respectful at that point.
last stream I had more opinion, but this stream,
Mm-hmm.
like, I really agree with the stuff everyone's talking about. I don't know what. Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question before we go into like controversially stuff.
Sure.
Do you guys think they should add more things to the ancient coin shop? I personally think that they should add Devilmons and
Blessings
maybe
is what people are kind of talking
those
about.
would be great.
Yeah, I think they are. I haven't spent any of my coins after the Elsharan because there's no reason. Everything else you can get
Not
in there
even
is
re-app?
so easy. It's so easy to obtain. Re-apps are much easier to obtain. If I want to buy re-apps, I can buy it. I'm not gonna waste ancient coins, which is a very, very valuable and rare limited resource for something that's not so limited, right? I'm gonna save them until they release something in there that is of value, right?
I think
I
that
agree.
aside from ancient coins in general, I think blessings should be more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple reasons. One, obviously, you could say I'm biased because I have so many Nat 5s that it's hard to get a non-dupe. It gives me an extra chance to get a non-dupe. But even for the earlier players, right? Like imagine like you pull 3 Nat 5s and all 3 is Praha. You know what I'm saying? Just something like that. It's like, you know, you lose all confidence and all will to continue to play. You know, if you got 3 dupes as your first 3, you know? Like
Can
my
I just say
brother-in-law,
something?
my brother-in-law's a
Imagine-
prime example. Like he had 6 unique Nat 5s and he was already at 7 dupes. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Imagine
where's
they
your will to
made
play?
Imagine they made L&D blessings. Oh my god, the amount of money they're gonna pull out of that thing, dude.
I don't think they'll do that anytime soon.
And like
know-
that blessing
Fall only?
fizzles, that blessing fizzles when you pull a elemental Nat 5. You know what I mean? Then people will just be like not summoning mystical scrolls, trying to summon as much Light Dark Scrolls as possible for the Nat 5.
Now, interesting topic on that. So, you know, typically I've been talking to Comtuous a while, like people from the U.S. office, people from the Korea office, and one thing I've noticed is that when I ask them things, like anything, you know, because I can ask them questions, right? When I ask them things, they will just tell me, they won't say anything when I ask something, or they will tell me no. And one thing I asked them in particular one time was, hey, is there going to be, you know, LD Transcendence? Just joking around, right? They said no, they were never going to release something like that, LD Transcendence. But then I asked them, oh, so what about LD Legendaries? No response. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be coming out in the
Are
future.
very viable.
I think it's
as like
viable,
a
but I mean,
once
for
a
them
year
to
thing.
not respond at all, I mean, gives me a little hint, wink, wink, right? That we might see that. But in terms of blessings, I don't think we're gonna see LND blessings, man. Unless they do a combo pack, I don't know, like LND legendary blessing.
Even LD legendary, people will cry all the time because everybody that gets ones they expect to get an Nat 5. They're gonna get an Nat 4. And they're gonna cry anyway.
It's gonna be
so
an HOH, and they're gonna cry. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that. I'm
They'll
waiting.
never.
Yes.
There's nothing they could do to make people not cry. You understand? Because people will cry
Exactly.
no matter what, right? People cry they don't have monsters, right? I have monsters. I cry I don't have runes. You know. So it's like there's always something to cry about. You know. So it's like they're never gonna resolve the crying issues. Just like buff patches, nerf patches, things like that are never gonna resolve it because you don't have it. Oh, you're super happy it's nerfed. You have it. You're super angry it's nerfed. So it's like you're always gonna have a part of the community that cries about everything you do. So they're in a tough place too. So that's why I do feel for them in that sense. You know, that there's nothing right they could do technically. There's not one thing they could do that everybody's like, man, you know,
Right.
that's great.
Yeah, they have it tough. You know, they get a lot of criticism. I mean, they get it real tough. But I give them credit where credit's due. But it's just human nature, man. The more they give us, the more we'll want. If you look back in the 4 years, what they've done with the community and the game and everything they've released and given out, it's a lot. But people always want more, right? Human nature. It's always going to be like that. So it's a
Gotten
mutual
so
understanding
much,
with that.
especially the early game.
Yeah.
The early game is doable now. You guys remember when you had to like
Manual? There's no such thing as auto, man. What do you mean,
You remember
manual
when you had to
GB10?
summon scrolls for fire?
Manual TOA hard?
You wanted a Veramos? You had to summon scrolls to get a Veramos. That was the only way. You had to get that Fire Beast Hunter somehow, and then you had
Took
to
me a
use
week.
Yeah. Back in the day, man. Veramos, Bella Verd. Whew. Every defense. So good.
I'm also kind of a fan of I'm also kind of a fan of this new event where you kind of get to pick what you want to do. So it favors people that like to farm versus like to, do other things. I'm talking about the new event where you get a choice of which one to complete. I'm kind of a fan of that. Like I said, because some of the other events, like it takes like way too much farming, right? You got to do dungeons, then you got to do scenarios, then you got to do
Daily mission.
Right.
That's my favorite one, dude. I love it when they ask me to do 100
like
daily
for
missions.
me, I never do daily missions.
Just kidding.
I never do scenarios at this point. You know what I mean? Like anything that's outside of dungeons or rifts, like it's very tough for me to have to do. It's like work.
Can we take a moment to talk about Dark Panda? I could throw that on the table. It's a unit that we've seen of change. I think it's pretty rune intensive. Have you guys had any experience with it?
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah?
I have
love
questions
it so
about
much.
Dark.
It hurts so much.
How do you like yours, Sean?
It hurts so much and they heal back so fast. And against tank unit that don't have attack, they don't hurt him anymore, which is so awesome. Not very good on defense though.
I think that's
like
that's got to be the best part of him right now is the fact that he takes reduced damage.
Yeah,
You know,
like,
so-
a rematch cannot hurt anything.
It's kind of a
anymore,
big deal.
Did you say you have a Dark Panda, Sean?
man. No, I wish.
Oh, I thought you did. I was like, when did
No.
you summon a Dark Panda?
You have Woolly Young, right? You just have Woolly Young.
Yeah, best net fall in the game, Wo Young.
I'm the only one here with no LD Net 5.
Your time will
You
come.
call mine a net 5?
One day.
It means you didn't spend enough. Yeah, that's the only problem.
I know. I'm only at 340 LDs, I think.
Only.
Yeah, that's like 500, I think, for an LD Net 5.
Oh my god.
340. Yeah.
Yeah, next time we meet up in person, we'll try to summon your LDs again. I'm up to 7 LD Nat 5 since January, and I've had 0 mass LD Nat 5 sessions given to me so far. So it's just luck of the draw, man.
We're
That triple
still-
LD net 5 session in 2017 was not.
We're still January, aren't we?
Yeah, it's only 17 days. It's 7 LD Nat 5s. I've been counting. Last year was 52 for the entire year. Pretty nuts. But yeah, any controversial questions, any topics you want to put on the table, any other things in chat that you guys want to talk about? I think we got another about 10 minutes or so, that we can chill here.
We'd rather answer some chat questions if there ain't good chat questions.
Go ahead, yeah.
Tie-Dye Gamer asked a question. He was.
I just want to say something before the questions are asked.
Sure.
Last week we failed to mention Han needs a buff, so hopefully Come To Us hears it and buff Dark Ninja. There you
Do
go.
you have a Han too?
I don't have a Han.
Oh, okay.
Obabo has a Han.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Tie-Dye Gamer said that he loves the game. He's just finding it extremely difficult that he's hit a wall. He's wondering what Come To Us could do for early game players post level 50 that don't spend a lot.
Well,
I think
what's
they've
the,
done
what-
so much for early game.
Oh, they have a
player,
lot of stuff for you, man.
Well, what's
Yeah,
the
like-
wall? Depends what the wall is, right? What's the wall you're talking about? Like
Energy
where are you
spend.
stuck?
Yeah, they give you a lot now. The achievements, yeah, you focus on trying to
Yeah.
get Veramos done, and they give you like rune, like a standard violent rune set, and they give you all that stuff that really helps progress you. I think maybe
Yeah, I feel
it's
like they
not a
hold
wall.
your hand too much.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a wall. I think you might have hit a plateau, which is something you're gonna experience a lot in this game as you continue to progress. There's going to be plateau stages.
If
I think
you're-
it's just that the
if you're very
progression
free to
slowed
play-
down a little bit for him.
If you're a very free to play player, I think you need to be quite disciplined if you want to see regular progression quite often.
Like don't
Because
summon.
if you start, but it's not even just the don't summon. It's like if you start building a whole bunch of units, whether you're not if you're not using them, right, then you're kind of wasting resources and you're walling yourself off. So like if you're starting out and you just got Veramos, it's probably best if you just build your Giants team. Don't work on like using a Beretta and 6-starring your Verd, right? Because those things aren't going to help your current place in progression.
Yeah, you have to focus one department at a time. You can't be going crazy trying to, be able to clear TOA and be able to do Giants and be able to do Dragons, like for most of us, even when we started, it was just, trying to get Giants done, and just slowly improving our Giants team, and then finally moving on to dragons. And then obviously when Necro came out, we did Necro. And then, you know, TOA was a big accomplishment for us in the beginning too, you know? So, I mean, you really have to focus the monsters you're going to build because it's very hard, I agree. Especially if you don't spend, it makes it even harder to make a 6-star. So whoever you decide to 6-star, like, make sure it's usable in as many places as possible, you know? Like, don't 6-star something that's only usable in dragons, you know what I mean? Because that's not going to help you in the long run, you know? You need something that you could use in maybe a little bit of TOA. It might be able to do a little guild war with it, you know, giants, things like that, because it's that is the number one wall. Like, I see my wife, she's been playing, you know, she plays like really sporadically, you know, but you know, she's been playing for like a year and she has like 6-stars, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I know it's hard to get a 6-star because she won't spend any money on the game, obviously. So I do get that wall for sure, but you know, really think about it, and you know, come on streams and ask people's feedback before you 6-star anything, because I remember my first 6-star and it's, you know, it was like painful when I did it, you know, like I was questioning myself for hours after I did it, you know. So it's like,
Who was it?
who was the first 6-star?
Yeah, who'd you 6-star?
My first 6-star was Bella.
Good choice.
That's a good
I'll take
choice.
it. That's fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think the players' first 2 6-stars on pretty much the broad accounts should be Vero and Bella. Those should be your first 2
Or
6-stars.
some people go farmers first, like Lapis or Sigmaris if they have it.
Oh yeah. I think that's viable as well for sure.
Also, don't feed any monsters because anyone could get buffed any second. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I tell my wife too, like, you know, if you're really not going to spend money, you can't just be feeding the 3 stars you get from mystical scrolls. Like, the goal of the game, if you don't spend money, you have to level 2-star monsters, make them into 3-star foods. You know, if you start eating away all your 3-stars, you're going to hit a wall again where you're going to have to level 2 stars anyway. So you might as well save your 3 stars for the other uses they're there for, you know? As far as Thompsin goes saying, don't feed any monsters, definitely don't feed, you know, I would say don't feed LDs, even if they're 3-star, because you never know if they buff them and they're usable. And then, you know, they're not as easy to attain, especially if you don't spend money, you know, because LDs, obviously, you're limited to maybe 2 a month, right? 1 from an event maybe, and guaranteed the monthly one. So it's a very limited access if you don't spend. So do not feed 3 stars. They're not meant to be food.
Okay, so you said we have a couple minutes left. There's
Alright.
one topic in chat that has been repeat posted.
Okay.
It's can be pretty controversial, but I feel like we're all going to agree on it. Fury says, what do you think? Is it possible to implement RTA Vile proc rule to all PvP contents? I think no. And the reason I think no is because if you limit all defenses to 1 Vile proc, I think that you no longer have a chance to win because it is too easy to bait the AI.
I
But
agree.
AI has been better though.
I agree. But I mean, we talked about this a little bit before as well. They've never released it, but they've never denied it. But I'm fairly certain that the defenses have a higher proc rate, and they do that just to make
it's
it
40%, right? 40
Yeah, I don't
to
know.
22.
Because like they do that so then it's harder for you to win defenses, or else it'd be way too easy, way too cookie cutter. You would just log in every day and just clear everything, no problem, because no defense is unbeatable, literally unbeatable. So they need to have that in there. But I really feel like they have more chance to proc on defense more than anything.
Violent procs also give weaker players a chance to win in general, right? If you put someone like, you know, you put some random C1 player up against Thompsin, but he has a Diana on Violent or a Sierra on Violent, right? He actually has the chance to win strictly because RNG exists. Now that may be extremely frustrating to whoever the stronger player is, but it's such a small outlier in those cases. In Guild Wars, maybe it's more frustrating because they can proc more than once, but I really think that Violent, with the way the game is, the AI is not good enough on defense for Violent procs to be taken out or even limited to 1.
Yeah, like Onceinluv is saying, like, as far as Guild War defense, a lot of Guild War defense is not really, like, you feel like you're losing because of procs. I do agree defenses proc more. I'm 100% certain, okay? I'm the #1 culprit of getting raped by Theos and Riteshas, things like that. But to be honest, the most thing about Guild War is that you really have to sit, if you really want to win your Guild Wars, you have to really think about the comp you're bringing in, because it is AI, and the elements do make it that it's, you know, exploitable. You know, you can exploit any defense for the most part. You know, I know people, everybody has rainbow defense now, things like that, but you have to look at what the rainbow is. If the rainbow consists of one of the elements being a healer, you know that if you bring the opposite element to that healer, it's not going to do damage to your DPS, you know? So you can exploit it in many different ways, but you really have to sit there and think about it. You can't just go, oh, I brought my 3 strongest monsters and I still lost because Ritesh went 3 times, you know? It's not that bringing your best 3 monsters, it's bringing the best per situation. So if you actually analyze and talk to people that are good at Guild Wars, they don't really lose Guild Wars, and it's not because of their runes, it's not because of their monster selection, it's because they pick correctly, you know? It's just all about picking correctly and exploiting AI.
If in Guild Wars, if Violent procs more on defense, wouldn't it make sense to balance Violent procs throughout?
But defense can't. The thing is, like, even with
but we've never proved that. It
we never proved. We just are speculating.
Completely, like
Totally
all of our
speculating.
things are completely anecdotal. The closest we have is that one person who did 4,000 turns.
Right, that
of
just Sun
Sun.
test, right? Or
That's
something
probably
like
the
Yeah.
closest, and his came out to 22% on both sides. Like it was like 21 and a bit and 22 and a bit, but like they were
Yeah.
so close that that's the best we have.
Yeah, I think it's just instances in our minds that that we only remember those moments. It's, but yo, I
Yeah.
feel it happens a lot.
no,
but
no, IslandGrown,
yeah.
I agree. It's definitely
Yeah.
part of it. Like you know, you never remember. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you know, I've done like scrim RTAs with people, and I actually write down how many times they procced versus how many times I procced, and then they tell me, no, you procced more. I'm like, no, but I have it written down. You know, but you always feel like it happens more against you. You know, you never forget when you get that extra proc on Vanessa that finishes somebody off. You know,
Right.
But
Or when you
always
get a proc
remember-
that's irrelevant.
But
Because you have to count the procs that do nothing,
Yeah,
right?
that's
That
true
you don't
too,
need.
exactly.
You don't need them.
But you only remember the one that made the killing blow on you. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's what it is, really.
The reason why people want to have Violent procs like consistent throughout not just RTA but Guild and Siege is because everyone's abusing the Violent procs. Like everyone's putting like Jean up on defense, and Jean could like provoke and then get
Second
an extra
skill,
turn, shield,
extra
get an extra turn, and then provoke and then shield, and then it's just like, whoa, man, you're taking 8 turns every turn, you know?
Yep.
And it's really annoying. It's like everyone's so like HP so high, and Guild Wars getting more and more lame because like everyone just puts like freaking Jean, Ritesh, and like tank, you know? Yeah, so I don't know, man. Yeah.
Everybody
Siege
wants
is
to
so-
control the situations a little bit more. I mean, I've even had people like ask, you know, the same thing, like, oh, like, you know, if, you know, someone who wants to be in esports, which I don't think they need to be, they have to take Violent procs out of, you know, RTA. I think it would just be totally unfeasible to take out Violent procs. Violent procs is literally what makes the game. But
Violent procs is not, to interrupt you, Violent procs is not what makes this game not able to become an esport. The thing that makes this game not be able to become an esport is because it's RNG based on accessibility.
there's
right?
2 factors. I think that's true
Like
too,
the
for sure.
only way it could be an esport is if they take the best players, right? Give them all
Exact.
dummy accounts to play on with
Oh, God,
every
suddenly
monster
we're
on
in
it,
the esport conversation.
Yeah.
right? With every
Oh, no.
monster on it, and everybody has the same exact runes at plus 15.
Yeah.
And then you choose which 10 you want to rune up.
Yeah.
You're limited to 10 monsters. And then you choose which 10, and everybody has the same access to the same monsters. And that's the only way it can be esport, because all esports have an equal playing field in that
You have
sense.
to remove Violent and Despair runes then.
But the
'cause
thing is
they're
that I don't
RNG.
think they're gearing towards that. Like with the last year's events, they want to make festivals. They want to just have a competitive scene and just more of an entertaining thing. I don't know how focused they are to go to esports, or if
Yeah,
they're still
like
trying.
I'm perfectly fine with the way it's
I'm
the
fine.
way it is
I
now.
actually
Yeah.
like what they're doing right now. I think it's great. But I think one thing that would be interesting is a lot of people say maybe no Violent procs. So maybe an interesting. I know Comtuous likes to test out RTA with the special league. What do you think if they made a special league that if you had a Violent set, it doesn't allow you to choose that unit into RTA? Yeah, like a special league where it only allows you no Violent
Just wouldn't
procs.
do it.
Yeah,
But that should
and then
happen often.
people will
We would
experience.
just see Swift Cleaves over and over. It would be all Swift Cleaves and nothing
Exactly.
else.
The next special
It would
league
just be
gotta
regular
like,
arena.
some type of co-op stuff, man. That'll be so cool.
Special league
But the-
co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, co-op would definitely be great. But this brings back the same topic though on why it can't be no Violent runes, right? Because everybody complains about they're losing the Violent procs, right? If you take out the Violent runes, as in a special league, for example, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to complain that I'm too slow.
Yeah, it's boring.
Right?
It's boring.
Because you're going to lose to whoever's faster is going to win, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's no procs. So you're going to cry that, oh, I don't have 300, I don't have 310, 320 Tiana or whatever, you know? That's what you're going to cry about now. So, like I said, there's nothing they could fix. There's always a different crying story, you know?
I think,
but they cry because they make it as a league. What if it's just a limits time mode where you can play it for like 2 weeks? So you can make it whatever you want.
That's why I want to suggest some things. We want to get some suggestions here because they can test it with the special leagues.
I feel like this game is evolving, and like people are like, well, for sure, I know so many people. They're like not interested in Arena anymore, not interested in Guild War anymore. They dabble in RTA, but like I feel like the lack of like content, like Guild War, like speaking of Guild War, like the violent procs, like it's getting like, I see my friend, he said he likes Guild War, but all he does is he look down the Guild War defense list and see who he could try to Lucian and who he could try to Zeros, right? So it's like, I don't know, like Guild War is pretty boring right now. And
what if they add a timer like RTA, like after a few turns you lose HP, so you see less HP unit on defense?
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool too. Because everyone just like putting up like really annoying defenses,
so
like
that you can take HP. Less retouch.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, this I see Fwa saying something, kind of taking up on your suggestion as well, Thompson, with the co-op. Yeah, and what we were discussing as well. It could be a random co-op mode. That'd be kind of cool. Get ranked in the random co-op.
Random feel.
Duo
mode.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
IslandGrown,
well,
I'm gonna start trolling people.
You know, before they do co-op, you know what they should do, right? When you join an RT match with someone, you should be able to chat with them. Come on, we're in 2019.
No, dude, it's gonna be so toxic.
We're
voice
chat.
Toxic,
2019.
No, that would create a lot of toxicity.
That would no drama, dude. I play League of Legends, Dota, you know, whatever game you play.
Very friendly game.
Street Fighter.
GG
you know?
easy.
Come on.
Get right, kid.
Dragon Ball Z, you know, even like Crash Royale, you could like just signal like wink or whatever, right? You should be able to talk to the other person.
It's where you hit them with the.
Especially when you see the female profile picture, you know, wink at them, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly, Sean. Whatever you say, but you know what I mean. Like it's 2019. There's no reason why you can't like chat with the other person you're playing against.
How about I just thought about this. How about if you don't actually know who your opponent is through your pick and bans and play? Does that change the dynamic of RTA at all? You just know what rank they are. You don't know their name. You don't know who they are.
That's lame. That takes out the point. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no point of joining a co-op game if you can't talk to your partner. Like, I want to be able to chat with them.
Oh, if it's co-op, yeah, I think you can chat with your partner. If they do a co-op thing, I think that would be something.
Then you got to be able to chat to the other team as well.
No, not the other team, bro. No, they're not gonna let you talk with the other team, bro.
First of all,
why shouldn't you?
First of all, chatting to the other team is retarded because half of them are from another country. They don't speak your language. That's the first problem, right? How many guys you queue into have an American flag? Okay, and we speak Chinese. Okay, so we have the chance of the Hong Kong flag, the China flag, the American flag, and you take all those out, and there's still 80% of other flags. So it's still like, you know, you don't get to talk to them anyway, Tom. So when you say hi, and I say hi,
I disagree, man. It's 2019. You should at least say ni hao or hi or emoji.
No, we just use Twitch emojis. Let's just get Twitch emojis in Summer's War. We could just spam like emotes at each other.
Oh,
like
come on. Are you guys serious? You guys don't agree with me? 2019, even when I play NBA. Dude,
I make a wrong play, you hit him with a lull. You know?
Oh.
Yeah. LOL is fine.
But to your actual discussion, Brian, I think anonymity is a topic we've been kind of touching on for maybe 3 years now. Back when boosting was a really big issue in regular arena. We want it. It's difficult. And I don't think it's a direction that they really want to go in.
To do random, right? Where you don't even know who you're up against. Like, let's just say League, right? You see the people choosing their characters. You have no idea who the hell they are, right?
Well, the only problem I see with the not seeing your opponent is when it comes to the competitions and the events and stuff like that. Then it kind of kills that whole story, no?
Yeah, I think that's maybe what they're still keeping for that reason.
I mean, I like it, you know, like people can't counterpick you, you know, or you can't counterpick them, you know, you have to pick based on what you really feel, you know? Like, you can't exploit the other person, you know, because certain people like, don't have a monster. Everybody in the world knows they don't have that monster, and it's like they get exploited for not having that monster every time. It's a little rough for them, you know?
All right.
It's really rough for me. I can't talk to my opponent when I'm playing against them.
He's really pushing for this.
I mean, Thompson, you know, you go to that topic, but that's really toxic. Like, if you look at a game even like Hearthstone, right, where you get like 6 different like you get 6 different like built-in comments. Like people just start spamming, you know, spamming. Oh, when you're on the winning side, you like. If you're on the losing side, you're not gonna like it. That's the thing, you know.
It's gonna be a
So-
bunch of get wrecks and shit.
Yeah,
But,
it's fun. It's fun to troll the other person. It's not fun getting trolled while you're getting beat. You know what I'm saying?
But
That's the
I'm
whole
gonna agree.
I mean, you
to,
can
like,
have an option to mute them or just block
yeah,
them.
I'm
from
gonna
sending-
agree to disagree. There should be mutes, there should be filters, and that could be a fun aspect, right? And I think CompTwist is all about making fun. You know what I mean? So if you're kind of
Yes.
trolling, and this day and age, you're saying 2019, you should be able to troll. Everybody's a little bit more lighthearted. Let's be real, everybody gets offended on anything, anyways. That should be something that would be of interest. Being able to chat with your opponent. Just the only issue is the collusion is all it is. You know what I mean? But and you know they would have to track records and stuff like that. But that's what people want to avoid, right? Collusion. That's all it is.
However, I think with anonymity, they should really just utilize things they already have, like Special League, to really test those kind of things out. And I mean, you get two things out of it. One, you get interaction. Two, you get a response, right?
Right.
You implement something, you let people try it, and you get a really good response from them. You get to know what people think of it, whether they like it, whether they don't like it, you know, if you need to make tweaks to the system. But like, we have Special League, and they clearly used it to test out if people liked the pre-ban mode, so I don't see why they wouldn't do that with something else in the future.
Yeah.
You know what they got to fix too? They got to fix the fact that like G2s and G3s still pull C3s.
Yeah, I think that's why I want to see how the season goes once the ranks are balanced. They said they did something. We're gonna see how it feels when it comes to the end of the season.
You know,
Let's see how it feels when you guys queue up end of the season. So make sure we bring this up in a future podcast in the future towards the end of the season to see how it's feeling, how you guys are queuing up, how the points
Like,
are going.
I'd rather sit in a 1 minute queue than get an instant queue and pull a C3 that beats me for 18 points, and then I gotta win against like 4 G3s to get it back. You know what I mean? It's real rough to queue once you're high G2, low G3. You know, it's a bad spot. You know, if you're high G3, different story, because even if you pull somebody low, you only drop a couple ranks. But when you're in that one majority window, like the rank like 400 to rank 100 to 1 to 400, like that area, like it's real painful when you lose the game. You know.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, thank you guys for joining me on today's podcast. Any last words or any last things you want to say to people out here? Yeah, because I know everybody, you know, does streams and everybody does make YouTube videos, so feel free to say any last words. We'll start off with Tyler on the left and go around, and yeah, we'll call it a podcast. Last thoughts, how you thought about the podcast, what do you want to see in the future, anything like that?
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun chatting with everyone. It's nice to talk about things. It was kind of strange. I didn't expect us to all agree so much on everything. But I think with how things are currently and the topics we went over, everything is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a little new. You know what I mean? I'm telling you right now, this podcast number 3. Wait till we get podcast like number 20 or something like that, man. People will be throwing fists and stuff like that, you know, because everybody's still getting a little bit comfortable with one another, right? This is the happy stages, right? It's like when you're married. Never mind, that's not gonna trouble. Anyways, yeah, Thompson. Any last words? It's like the honeymoon stage right now, podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with what everybody said today. So yeah, even last stream I had a lot of disagreements, but like this stream is like pretty cool. Yeah. So thanks for watching, everybody.
Whycuz?
I think to speak for everybody, we had a great time. Thanks for having us. Hopefully we answered whatever questions and gave people some insight on things. Along with that, we all are streamers now, so I'm sure I can speak for everybody and say that if anybody has any questions, you can come on our streams, and we're happy to answer them to the best of our ability. Anything you need help with, and hopefully this was educational and somewhat, and I'm glad we didn't argue that much. But it was very successful, I think, and thanks for having us.
Any last words for you as well, Sean?
For me, I really appreciate Island to take the initiative and do this type of content that's still lacking in the scene, where people just sit down and talk about some of the stuff. So it's new and it's refreshing. And yeah, I really, really liked it. And if you haven't subbed to Island with Twitch Prime, what are you doing, my man?
You know, I never do that spiel. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for taking the time. I mean, I want to thank you guys making time out of your day to come and hang out. Obviously, we're going to be doing these podcasts more. We're going to mix and match people. We'll get different people in here. We'll be mixing it up, talking about other topics. Maybe it doesn't have to all be about Summoners War. Maybe we can start expanding into topics, maybe more about Twitch, streaming, YouTubing, events, other games, right? It doesn't have to be strictly Summoners War. Yeah. But I appreciate you guys watching, and if you guys are from the YouTube channel, feel free to leave questions below or topics you want to discuss or general thoughts that you guys have for the podcast, and we'll continue to improve them. Yeah, so as you can see, this podcast, we try to get a layout and stuff set up. We'll try to do a little bit more, a little bit with time. Try to get some different people on. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys on the next live stream or video. Bye-bye, YouTube.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.